Hey everybody, I'm Fabian for Liberty, Fabian Calvo. FabianForLiberty.com is my website. This video I want to talk about the Western banks, again on the verge of collapse, and really they've been on the verge of collapse, but the pressure is really starting to mount. I'm going to break that down, what it means about the new normal in the West. I want to remind everybody that every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, I have a real estate investing webinar. It is free. Thousands of people all around the world have gone through it. They love it. And you can register by clicking the link down below. Every Thursday at 4 p.m., I have a group, mastermind group on real estate investing. And if you're interested in that, you could always email me at fabian@fabiancalvo.me. I want to talk about the latest news. Yesterday I was talking about the Iranians wanting to trade their oil, not in US dollars any longer, but in euros. And I also mentioned how European banks, which last year we were told were going to have a stellar year because some inflation was coming back to Europe. It looked like Mario Draghi's European central bank policies were actually working out and that the economies were growing somewhat. Well, the story changes in like a month, where now it's the European banks are back on the skids, their stocks are down, and people are concerned also about banks in the United States. Now, I want to just be clear here, because what I'm about to talk about now is not really a rosy picture. It's not. It is decades upon decades of government manipulation, federal and central bank manipulation, and it's led to this moment where we'll have the end of this business cycle, which will crash. Now, a couple people posted comments yesterday saying that a real free market does not have business cycles. I would completely disagree with that. There are always growth and contraction cycles in any economic environment. I mean, Henry Hazlitt spoke about this. F.A. Hayek spoke about this at length. Murray Rothbard, all these different brilliant economists that were Austrian economists spoke about this. And you could go read their writings and you could see how they not only just give their theory, but they tie it up with historical evidence about it. I mean, there's always a growth. I mean, it's really goes back to the ancients. If you've read for example, the book, The Fourth Turning, the ancients believed in this cyclical calendar instead of a linear calendar like people in the West believe, where, there was spring, there was fall, summer, winter, you had the seasons and things would always change. And that's true for any free market economy. But there is this notion, again, this video will not be necessarily cheerful, but when I talk about this information, I just want to be clear that I look at economic collapse in multitudes of different countries, looking back through history. I study this, I read about it every day, and we look at different reasons why these happen. They could happen for societal collapses, revolutions. They could happen over war. World War II destroyed the economies of Europe. It could happen over a real economic shock, a meltdown, hyperinflation, like we saw after World War I in Germany with basically their currency hyperinflating, and it's happened in Argentina and many other places as well. So there's different reasons why we have economies that ultimately collapse, but many times will rebuild. And that happens, and within those events, there's always still individuals that prosper. There's always still individuals that get by. So I feel compelled to always add a disclaimer to these videos, because I've always said, look, you can go back and you can see people's body of work on YouTube going back to 2008, 2009. And I will acknowledge I was one of those for a few years that basically would always say, look, the collapse is coming, and that there's truth to that. But I could sit here and I could talk about an economic collapse coming for the next 5 years, and eventually I will be right. People like Gerald Celente and others, they're always saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Eventually they will be right. But that's not good enough in my opinion. 3 years ago, I started talking about how we were going to see a stock market and a real estate market be manipulated upwards and all of this phantom wealth be created. And it's all manipulation, it's all phony, and it's mostly fraudulent. And it's been happening. That's a much harder call to make. The truth is that there is unprecedented opportunity today in what I call the golden age of business, because of the internet, because of other things that are out there that allow the creation of business to be done relatively quickly and allow individuals to be educated on a multitude of different investment opportunities, business opportunities that just 5 or 10 years ago was not available. So I feel like I need to give that disclaimer because I don't want to be that guy that tells you go into the bunker with your food storage and your gold and somehow that's going to pay off at the end. Now, let me just break down what's going on with the banks right now. Look, we are in an age where central planning has gone completely off the norms. And people that for so long have lived in this notion that banks function one way, that you have this infinite growth paradigm that continues to grow, where you have fractional reserve banking, where you have the Federal Reserve, which is straight out of the Communist Manifesto, managing interest rates and controlling the money supply, that actually works out, that helps things out in some way. Even though history proves it does not, it always ends to bigger collapses. People believe that. That is the normalcy bias that so many people live in today. But it's going to fail, and it's going to fail big time. Perfect example is Greece. Their banks yet again are, in dire straits. They've had 3 bailouts in the last 5 years. They're going to need more of bailouts. Western banks, the derivative portfolio of close to $2 quadrillion, all you need is 1 or 2% to go down in flames, and it collapses and cripples the banks across the world, really. You have the oil markets and the trillions of dollars in loans that were given out to these small oil companies, and now many of those are going bankrupt. You have the high-frequency traders that are manipulating the stock price up. I mean, look, with all of the latest news, here's a perfect example. Granted, there is a glut of oil in the oil market, but think about how the price of oil is at the lowest it's been since 2009. Well, how was the economy in 2009? It was a complete horror show. Today, we're told the economy is doing well. The unemployment rate is under 5%. They're adding hundreds of thousands of new jobs. The stock market is still above 16,000. All these great things. New home sales in January were better than new home sales in January of 2015. All manipulation, ladies and gentlemen. It's the only way they've been able to keep this together. But it will not last forever. Now, when will this go down? It's hard to really say, but it will be a panic event, no doubt about it. Could be centered around war. Could be centered around some exposure. I've always talked about a financial Edward Snowden coming forth and actually revealing the fraud in just undisputable factual evidence to the world that will collapse the system overnight. Because the collapse, ladies and gentlemen, comes not from the incredible amounts of debt. The collapse ultimately comes from a lack of confidence in the banksters that try to create an illusion of wealth, create an illusion that everything is fine. Again, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time, free real estate investing webinar. You can click the link down below. Glad to finally be shooting these videos in HD quality. Hope you enjoy them. Hope you like the audio. Got a little microphone going on here too. If you enjoy my videos, please share them. I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. Thanks for watching. I'm out.